Turning brands green. Now this is thoughtful. Hello, I'm Trevor Lai in Shanghai. The global financial crisis and the rise of digital media have forced advertisers to reevaluate the way they build brands and interact with their customers. But China's size, growth, and chaotic media market make it difficult for advertisers to anticipate new customer demands. Today, our experts will look at how to energize your brand in China. And our own PT Black will have a thought or two on how some of China's own local leading brands have led the way. But first, we're talking with Aurora Chen, Director of Coca-Cola's Live Positively sustainability program in Greater China. Now, Aurora, Live Positively addresses healthy living, the environment, climate, education, packaging. But really, where's the innovation going on here? I mean, is adding labels to bottles talking about a healthier, greener life, is that really innovation, or should companies be doing more looking at the system and innovating in the system?
It's a very, very good point. Actually, innovation at Coca-Cola means a change in thinking process for doing something better. It can be a new product, can be a change in the process, can be even a change in the organizational change. But the bottom line and the goal of the innovation is make a positive change, that you make something and somebody better.
So can you explain what exactly Live Positively entails?
Sure. Live Positively for Coca-Cola is a multiple-year commitment to make a positive difference in all areas of our business and its impact in the world, in the community where we operate. And basically, it comes from the challenge which we're all facing. For example, if everyone on Earth now, we start to consume, or we're going to consume the way like North American people do, that means we're going to need, we will need to have 4 planet Earth. And this imposes a huge challenge for every country, every government, every industry, or each, you and me, every individual.
Right, but in China, Coca-Cola has pledged to invest over 200 million RMB in this program by 2012. Will you meet this goal? And where exactly is this money going?
Absolutely. I'm very happy to report that not only we're going to meet our goal according to our schedule, actually we do it with anticipation. We're going to deliver all these goals already this year instead of next year.
So can you talk about where exactly you've made these investments?
Absolutely. Live Positively sustainability programs, Coca-Cola China covers many areas. It covers from construction of hope schools, water stewardship management projects, and also water conservation, rural education, and help orphans also. So
once you've made these large investments, how does Coca-Cola evaluate the impact and success of these sustainability programs? What do you use to measure the success?
Yes, first of all, this platform is global. So we have a committed structure from global-wise, regional-wise, and to each market. And each Live Positive has 7 pillars, and each pillar has specific measurable goals. And we have also the tracking method. So this is the way that we ensure all these projects, all these investments is going to be carried out in a serious and progressive way, which is a long-lasting manner.
So if you were to prioritize the possible sort of win scenarios, would you prioritize the community impact? Would you prioritize the brand performance? Would you prioritize the corporate goals? How would you prioritize these for your sustainability program?
Very good point. Actually, sustainability is not just a slogan and is also not a short-term marketing programs. It actually embedded in the way how you run the business, how you run the brand. So basically, we look for sort of win-win in everything. In sense, we want to be seen as a reliable and preferable employee, that all the associates, all the people would love to work for this company. And we want to be also a preferred partner for customer, that customer like to work with us because we have a sustainability focus.
Right.
And we want to be seen as a trusted, preferred partner in the community. What is live positively? Ultimately, very simple, the way how you work, the way how you live. You change or you redesign the way, and then you make sustainability be part of everything you do. So in terms about sustainability, people will think it's very technical. Actually, it's very practical, it's very personal also.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us today, Aurora.
Thank you for inviting me.
And now, here's PT Black with a thought or two about going green in China.
There's not that much new in the idea of sustainability. Every civilization deals with limited resources. If a culture gets it wrong, they fall apart. Think of the treeless emptiness of Easter Island. But if you get it right, you get to thrive and expand. China's been doing this for 5,000 years and has been pretty successful. Take floods as one example. China, which is periodically battered by massive floods, reveres a historic character called the Great Yu, who was a flood engineer. He built a series of dams and levees that protect China to this day. He built them 4,500 years ago. This is a core responsibility of the Chinese government, protecting their people from natural disasters, much of which are caused by resource mismanagement. Floods, famines, plagues, that's their job. For the most part, environmental protection and sustainability is viewed as part of an economic calculation. It's just another line item, cost and benefit. This is the mentality that brought us the Great Yu and all his dams. It also brought us the Three Gorges Dam. This is fundamentally different from the West, where discussions about sustainability have their roots in the counterculture, in radical individualism, and in romantic aestheticism. In China, it's a matter of resources, limited resources, and it's a big job, a job so big that only the government can tackle it. So when Westerners look at this, they call for grounds-up activism. But this will have to be dealt with in a Chinese way, from the top down. There are encouraging signs. Cities like Shanghai are reducing plastic bag usage, insisting on certain types of light bulb usage. But the real good news comes from Beijing, where the new Minister of Environmental Protection has issued an essay in which he said, in China's thousands of years of civilization, the conflict between humankind and nature has never been as serious as it is today. So China's top leadership is recalculating the balance. Now it's all about implementation. And I, for one, am crossing my fingers for the next Great Yu.
Thanks, PT. With me now is Cinnovate's Head of Media, Steve Garten, Amena Lee Schleicher, Shanghai Manager of Asia Pacific LOHAS, and Kunal Sinha, Chief Knowledge Officer at O&M China. Kunal, Ogilvy's new research shows there's a large gap between what the Chinese say and what they're doing when it comes to sustainability. I mean, more than half said that they use energy-saving appliances, they avoid using plastic bags. 38% of them said they're using alternative fuel for their cars. Anybody who knows this market knows that can't be true. People are simply ticking off the boxes of what makes them look good. So what can researchers do to create more accurate results for the surveys?
I think what we did was we actually saw what people were doing. We went into their homes, we went shopping with them, we saw them dispose garbage. We literally lived with them for a day to 2 days.
We know that when sustainable behavior actually leads to a direct personal benefit, that consumers are much more likely to be involved. So what can companies do to promote sustainability?
Well, actually just create this emotional buy-in. So create one that is directly linked to something that they're used to every day rather than this new idea of being responsible, which tends to be a little bit more difficult. I find that the green movement, as it's branded in China, is very much authoritative. It comes from up high. It's something that's considered very propagandistic. It's or something that's not personally viable. The sustainability movement, it's something that's very industry run, so it feels very technical, and people, consumers, everyday people, feel very far away from it. So what would be sort of the emotional consumer equivalent to that? But people do care about other topics like health and food safety and air quality, things that are directly related to my personal well-being and also my household, which is a unit that I have complete control over. So if you give me a brand or if you give me a product that I can, again, sort of emotionally find the benefit or functionally find the benefit to my livelihood, then I'm personally invested.
Steve, a recent Cinnovate survey revealed that consumers really feel as if companies should be responsible for reducing climate change. and Chinese consumers in particular feel the responsibility lies with companies. Are there any companies that you think in China have done an exceptional job in this area?
Some manufacturers are doing better jobs than others. I think there's a lot of moves in green, in automotive, in terms of battery-powered vehicles, and I think that's commendable. But companies alone won't do it alone. It has to be government mandates, legislation imposing minimum standards of pollution or maximum standards of pollution. It's got to be consumers also being encouraged to recycle, to cut those plastic bags down. And I think companies alone aren't going to do it. They can respond to consumer pressure. If consumers are saying there's too much packaging on these goods, or that they feel it's too expensive, even though it's green, then companies will react. They react on their own corporate balance sheets and pocketbooks.
So when they're talking about more soft issues such as CSR and promoting recycling, I mean, how do they balance that with the business realities of trying to operate their business? And is it realistic to be asking these companies to be owning their entire process vertically so that they control every step right back into putting it back into the forests or into the environment? I mean, is this realistic?
It's not a level playing field. I think if individual companies are expected to go out and pioneer without government support, incentives and a legislative framework of requirements, they're reluctant to do so. So government plays a key part and companies will respond. On CSR, it's not here yet, but in other parts of the world, in terms of the company's annual report, CSR is an important part. And there's investor pressure for companies to play the part they're supposed to do and meet the promises.
Yeah, I think there's sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think there's also a big role to play for consumers, but not consumers alone. Sometimes as consumers, we're all consumers, we don't know what we want ourselves. But we play the role as innovators to dig into the insights that aren't completely articulated yet. And those insights can be turned into research that actually inspires companies to do completely different things. There's a wonderful company named Interface Floor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They do carpeting, wall-to-wall carpeting, right? This is a classic example of a company that produced probably the most wasteful product on the planet, but then took the entire supply chain and owned it. So they just ended up leasing the product rather than selling it. So imagine a company like Coca-Cola or a bottling company did that. If once you own the entire supply chain, you own the responsibility of that, and then you can create new wealth from it. And then all based from what we tell them as researchers.
Yeah, I think the importance of the government is sometimes overstated, because what we found that one of the reasons why the sustainability gap exists, because people expect the government to take care of everything.
Right.
And the government makes these huge green investments, and people can, and even companies think that they can sit back because the government's going to clean up the act.
Right.
Again, in our study, we found that there are a lot of behaviors that consumers normally do. It's just not formalized into any kind of a system. Look at, you mentioned recycling. Look at the amount of recycling that happens in the informal system. There is a trash collector who goes around on his tricycle collecting trash from every household, from every neighborhood. And that goes into a district recycling or a waste collection center. What we would strongly advocate is companies assume responsibility for that, and the payoff for that is made back to the consumer. So imagine a situation where instead of either going back to the waste collector, consumers of bottled water or soft drinks or beer were to take it back to the supermarket, and they received some sort of a price off on the next crate of soft drink or bottled water they bought.
Which happens all around the world.
It happens all around the world. And in fact, Coca-Cola, for example, has set up a $35 million recycling center in the US. And I would expect that sort of initiative to be taken within China, just by agglomeration of these informal recycling systems. So, I mean, in China, let's face it, people will go after brand image, they'll go after convenience. Yeah? But you give on a layer of sustainability, and that will become the tiebreaker in the marketplace.
Well, Steve, Amena, Kunal, thanks for joining us on Thoughtful China. That wraps it up for this week. Be sure to subscribe to us on Tudo and YouTube, and you can also follow us on Weibo and Twitter. We'll see you again.